very curious to get your take on this. This is somewhat controversial. Dentists raising their fees annually, go compete with the cost of doing business.
Mm-hmm.
That can be very challenging to do.
Yep.
Can you tell me, what's your take on this? What do you think?
Well, this is an awesome question because, I mean, cars always cost more every year. We expect it. Appliances cost more. It's just like kind of like McDonald's raises the price of a hamburger. They run specials or whatever, but it's kind of like we know with 2%, 3% a year. And then I routinely talk to dentists who haven't raised their fees in 5 years. And like, well, did your lab bill go up? Oh yeah. You paying your hygienist more and your staff? Oh yeah. And it's like, well, but if I raise my fees, I'm going to lose patients.
Right.
And that's always this tight wire walk across Niagara Falls. So can I raise my fees? How far can I raise my fees? So I have this dichotomy where I have two clients practicing in the same metropolitan area. And one is working 3 6-hour days and does about $1 million a year and takes no lowered fee plans. Gets about 10 new patients a month, and he runs at 50% overhead.
Sounds pretty good.
So he's been doing that for 10 years. He's taking home $450,000, $500,000 on 18 hours a week. Then I have another client with multiple locations and all the plans, and I don't know the profitability, but it's not 50%.
I would bet not.
And there's all that pressure and stress of keeping, the hundreds of new patients coming into the multiple locations. And so one guy is like gardening on Wednesdays and Fridays and playing golf and fishing, and the other is kind of like, So it's like, so is it really worth taking the reduced fee plans? And what does it cost? And it's not just reduced fee, just raise your fees.
Yeah, so you're saying to someone that asks you, oh, but if I raise my fees, I'll lose patients, you're saying, well, yeah, but there's this really awesome point where you can actually work less and make as much, or maybe even
possibly more.
Maybe even more.
So with these two doctors in mind, I took many hours and put together a spreadsheet.
Okay.
And we're going to share it with the viewers. There's going to be a link to go to.
Great.
Here's what I did. How many active patients do you have? Whatever the number is, I don't care. How many patients you saw in the last year, the last 2, whatever your figure is. What's your average monthly collections and what's your overhead? And you put those 3 numbers in and you're going to make a particular profit. So let's just, for the example, say you're going to make $20,000 a month in profit. What happens if you raise your fees by 10%? Well, your cost per patient, your expenses don't go up. And depending on the overhead percentage, different calculations I ran, the profit went from anywhere from 20 up to 28 to 32,000 a month, which is significant. We're talking about 25 to 35% increase in profit.
Yeah.
Okay, now if you raise your fees by 10%, you've got to be prepared to lose some patients. So if you're happy with 20,000 a month in profit and you raise your fees by 10%, how many patients could you lose and still make $20,000?
That's the question. Right.
That's the question.
Right.
Chris, it's staggering. You could lose a fourth of the practice.
You could lose 25%.
You could lose 25% of your patients and make the same profit with a simple 10% increase in fees. So when I was in private practice, I didn't have the spreadsheet, but I just, again, I talked in one of the previous videos, I was raising the restaurant business and you got to keep up with the cost. So every year I just raised my fees by the cost of living. 2%, 3%, 1.5%, whatever it was, just kind of like, okay, that's my fee increase. And I just always kept pace. So this is another area where the dentist needs to pay attention to cost. That's one thing, but you also have to pay attention to your profit and your fees. And so I want the viewers to just go punch in these 3 numbers, how many active patients, monthly revenue, and your overhead, and then just look. And the numbers get crazy with the 20% fee increase.
I would think so.
It's like you could lose half your practice. No, I'm not suggesting this.
No.
Because you always have to feel good about the fee that you're charging. And my $495 crown was more expensive than most of the other people in the area. But I worked with my lab and my turnaround was 7 days, not 2 to 3 weeks. My turnaround was 7 to 10 days. I never used any precious, I always used precious metal. There was no those kind of things. And I felt that it was justified. So for me, you have to take a look, and you must raise your fees every year, just like every business.
Well, so certainly that couple percentage points just to keep up with cost of doing business. But as a dentist, if you're feeling overworked and underpaid, then to do one of these significant fee increases, say
Right.
10%,
Yeah.
could be one of the solutions to the problem.
Absolutely. And if you take a look on this spreadsheet, you'll see exactly how many patients you can lose. Of course, I lost patients, but I can tell you 5, 10. I mean, it was never percentages of the practice. And there will always be people who have to have the cheapest price. And that's where you get, you're discounted. In a previous video, we talked about the Motel 6 versus the Waldorf. And there are people who stay at Motel 6 who would never stay at the Waldorf. But there are people who go to the Waldorf who would never stay at a Motel 6.
Okay, Greg, so how does this work for PPO plans? I'm imagining, we can try to negotiate with PPOs, and there are companies that can help, and we can get some, maybe not, I doubt a 10% increase, but we can get some increases. But I'm going to speculate, correct me if I'm wrong, if we're on, say, 8 plans, then dropping the lowest paying plan is kind of like
It's
getting
a fee
that increase. And we'll clearly lose a lot of those patients.
Yep.
But we're then de-stressing ourselves, making more room for the higher paying plans. Is that in
For
line?
sure.
Yeah.
And here's another scary number. All right. If 2/3 of the practice is on some reduced fee plan, and I use the average of 30%. Okay. So you raise your fees. Well, it's not going to raise the fees that you're getting compensated from the insurance company.
Right.
So that fee increase then is being gobbled up by handling the 2/3 of the practice on the reduced fee.
Right.
So basically, once you're 2/3 on PPOs, reduced fee plans, it equals a 10% fee reduction. And I've got that on the spreadsheet too. It's scary. Some of these calculations, you have to increase your patient base by 40% to make the same $20,000. It's really scary. So it's very subtle to say, well, I'm just going to get into this plan. Yeah, I'm going to have to give 50% off of my crown, but then it's income, and it's like it destroys your business, and you end up working harder for nothing. So it's sad but true. It's math, and dentists need to confront the math of all this.
I'm definitely going to check that out, because I love seeing these little tools that we can use as a way to rethink our business. Yeah.
And for me, I love making people think, and I love people like taking responsibility for themselves. So this is a really good tool, and I hope this helps people.
I'm sure it will.
There is a danger here when you start talking about profit, because then all of a sudden it's like, oh, it's just about money. The patient is just a number. Okay, you could assume that viewpoint, but listen, if you're not raising your fees and you're not making enough profit, then how are you going to continue to provide the same quality care? And maybe I'm opening myself to attack, and people may comment on this video and come after me and like, I'm a dirtbag because I'm talking about profit. But listen, this is about patient care. This is about high quality patient care. And cutting down, using cheaper materials, et cetera, is not high quality patient care. And so Motel 6 has to make a decision. Are we going to spend this much money on towels and sheets, or are we going to spend that much money? Oh, well, we're $49 a night. We're going to spend this much. And that's a business model, all right? And for me, there has to be enough profit to maintain quality patient care.
Profit should stop being a dirty word in dentistry.
Exactly.
The more profit that's left over in the business, first, yes, that means more money that we can take home and put food on the table. Mm-hmm. Let's stop apologizing for that.
Right.
But the second part is, the more profitable we are, the more generous we can be with our patients. It's
Exactly.
very hard to discount and donate care to those who are in need when we're barely making payroll.
And the more generous we can be with the staff. I mean, everybody would like to make more money, bonuses, all that kind of thing. But then if we haven't raised our fees in 5 years, there's no money for bonus.
Absolutely.
And there's no money for the next piece of equipment or the next better material. So it is a bit of a tight wire walk across Niagara Falls when we're talking about this, but by all means, as far as I'm concerned, you have to have enough profit to maintain quality care.
Absolutely.